Greetings, YouTube! The Doctor is in. Dr. Urius Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Dungeons and Dragons. And today I wanted to talk about a subject that's pretty near and dear to my heart in my games that I always like to do, and that is the topic of time. And the question for you is, do you track time? And the answer to that should be, if you're not doing it, why not? And do you have a calendar? So we've got a lot to go over, a lot to talk about. Stay tuned and don't go away. All right, before we begin, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a question or comment. Don't forget to hit that notification bell, and don't forget to share this video. So for a lot of this video, I'm going to be talking about the current game that I am running. I run it every other Sunday, and it's a Shadow Dark game, and it's based in Greyhawk. It's based in the world of Greyhawk, so I did a lot of conversions over. I've made a hex map of one little tiny small region, which we're going to talk about. And I've got 6 players currently in that game, and I do have a calendar for that one. We are setting the current Greyhawk timeline at the time right around the very beginning as events are transpiring with the Greyhawk Wars. And if you are not familiar with that, please look that up. That is a thing that did happen in Greyhawk. It's a very prominent series of events that happen where Ayuz, the evil demigod, I guess he's a god. Like, he is named a demigod, but he's really got godlike powers. But it's where Ayuz, who's very evil, takes over or tries to take over most of the continent. So I want to give a shout out, and I've got some notes here. There they are right there. There's my notes. So I will be looking down from time to time at my notes just to see what I need to talk about next. But I do want to give a shout out to all of my current players at my table. I'm going to shout out their names as they sit around the table. I'm a DM who doesn't normally sit at the front of the table. We play on a virtual table. We all play around it. And I sit like at the first seat on the side of the table. And then next to me, and in Shadow Dark, there is a rule about initiative. That initiative takes place with the player starting that has the highest initiative score, and then it goes clockwise from there. So, or you could do it counterclockwise or whatever. So the players always sit at the table in a very particular order so that they can get that initiative. But sitting next to me, big shout out to Father Corwin. Next to Father Corwin is Jake Slash, the pit fighter. Next to him is Ord, the basilisk warrior. Next to Ord is Bianca, the fighter. Next to Bianca is Darren, and Darren on deck. That's the group wizard. It's really one player, but he plays 2 because he's got a backup character that's also called Darren, so it's called Darren on deck. Next to Darren is Otto Meyerlurk, who is the party warlock, and next to Otto is Tucker Slypocket, who is their rogue. And of course, he is always to my left because he has the highest dex bonus. Thus, he usually gets the highest initiative, which means initiative will start with him, and the DM will go last at that point. So big shout out to all my players in that game. I'm actually writing this up right now for a Kickstarter, and they are the ones that kind of have play tested this, and it's worked out. We've been doing this for a year. And with the calendars and time, you can track this in any game. You don't have to do this in Shadow Dark. I put the title in here for a D&D game, and this is a D&D game, kind of. I mean, we're using Shadow Dark rules, but it's in a D&D setting. You could use this in D&D 5th edition. You could use this in D&D 2024. You could use this in Castles and Crusades. You could use this in Dungeon Crawl Classics. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It's pretty much rules agnostic. So I think one of the important things to remember is that your games run in 4 dimensions. And what do I mean by 4 dimensions? I don't mean height, width, length, all that. What I do mean is there is a large world. That's dimension 1. There is a region where the players are. That's kind of the larger area that they can easily get around in. That's dimension 2. There is the exact location where the players are. So they could be in a dungeon, they could be in a town, they could be in a forest, wherever, but there's an exact location. That's dimension 3. And then dimension 4 is time. And that is why we're talking about calendars and time, because it's important, because your world is a living world. Time is going to go on whether the players are there or not at a specific location. And things are going to happen in time in other places in your game, those other dimensions, whether the players are there or not as well. And we're going to connect that to how do the players find out about things. So I have made a calendar that lists what's happening on what day and where it's happening. And there are opportunities for those players to find out about what those things are happening, whether they're way far away or whether they're right where the characters are in their region or maybe in the same town. If it's a major event that's in the town that they're in, or it's a major event in a town that they're going to very soon, they could find out about it very easily. If it's an event that has happened very far away, but they could go to a bigger town and find out about it. So there's many opportunities for the players to figure this out. But just remember that your game is a living game and that your players are sitting in that game in 4 dimensions. There's the world, there's the region where they're at, there is the exact location where they're at, and then there is time. So here is an example of a calendar that I use, and I just called it April. You could rename any of the months, anything you want. I use a template right out of Excel that uses the days of the month. You could name the months whatever you want. I have the year there, so if you look over there, it says April 582. So this is common year 82 in Greyhawk. This is the month of April. Not really, they don't call them April. I just use that for my reference only and kind of for the players' reference, so they're familiar with that. If I started using a bunch of month names that they didn't recognize, then they may not be able to understand that or be immersed in that or have a measure of interest in that. So it's just easier to use our months of the year. So, and I've got 2 events on this month. And these are 2 events that have happened in the Greyhawk War. So on April 2nd, which is day 92 of my campaign, Vatoon/Ayuz and the Barbarians of the Stonefist destroy Calbut. Calbut is a city that's in the far northeast. And then on the 7th of April, the Duchy of Ten, also in that area, falls to the Stonefist Barbarians. So those are 2 events. The characters are all the way on the other side of the world. So they've already done this. We're currently on, we just got to May. See, it says right here, it says PC's here. That is the day that we ended our last session. So these events have already happened, and they've already happened almost a month prior. So the PCs don't know that this happened yet. Some of my PCs are going to be watching this video, and they will now know that that had happened. But they don't know this had happened yet until they go to a bigger town, and the news of these particular events has filtered down through the world to those places. And that's kind of the way things happen. I mean, when Genghis Khan first invaded China, that was not really known in Europe for quite some time. So news doesn't travel super fast. Now, this is a fantasy world, so news can travel a little faster than you think, but it doesn't travel as fast. And then the PCs are here, and pretty much for the rest of that year, there's not a lot that has gone on. But once we get to the next year, and I've got a version of this for May of 583, there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens in the late spring. Ayuz conquers the Bandit Kingdoms. That takes a whole kind of week. Perrinland signs a treaty with Ayuz. Ayuz invades the Shield Lands. That takes another week. The Battle of Critwall Bridge happens. Ayuz takes Crockport and Furry Yonder and lays siege to Chendol. That takes a couple of days. Again, this is on the side of the world where the PCs are, but it's to the far north. So it's in the world, Dimension 1. It is not in their immediate region, but it's in the hemispherical region where they are. So that's, I guess Dimension 2. But it's not exactly where they are, so that's Dimension 3. So the news of this may filter to them faster than news of some of these other events that happen in, say, like April, that are on the other side of the world. Eventually, the players are going to learn that this happens. Maybe they don't learn that this happens until the rest of this other stuff happens. It might take an entire year for them to learn that this happened. But keeping a calendar is very important. We do hex crawls, so as the players go through the hexes and they go from one hex to the next and take time to do that, I highlight a day. So you can see all these days are highlighted yellow. All these days are highlighted yellow. So we've gone through all of these, and we ended up on May 4th. So they have crawled through those hexes in their region essentially for 124 days. And again, we've been playing this game for a year. We play about every other week. On average, I would say we play about 3 times a month. And they're right there. So that brings me back to, how do PCs know about events that happen? How are they going to know that the Duchy of Ten fell? How are they going to know that the barbarians of the Stone Fist came out and destroyed Calbut? How are they going to know about all this stuff happening? And so you as a game master have to keep track of this. You know when the events are happening. You know where they're happening. You know how close they're happening to the players. And you know the kind of information centers in the vicinity of where the players are. So it's really important to kind of make notes about that. This thing happened a week ago, and the information of that filtered down to this town and this town and this town. And let's say your players go to those towns, they're going to be able to easily go to the tavern, and the tavern keeper is like, oh my God, did you know the Bandit Kingdoms just fell, and we just heard about it, and it's terrible, and Ayuz is marching, and the Shield Lands are in trouble. And then maybe they go to the next town the next week, and it's closer. And so the closer that the players are to the event, the faster they're going to know about the knowledge. Maybe they go to a town and it's on the other side of the planet, and they don't find out about this until 6 months after it happened. And then it's just rumor that happens at that point. So it's important to note the time where the players are, what is happening in the world while the players are moving through your world, and how long it's going to take for them to find out that knowledge, if they're going to find out about it at all, and where and how, what is the venue in which they're going to learn that knowledge as well. So the world I'm using right here is the world of Greyhawk. Now this is an older map. It's a post Greyhawk Wars map, but I like this map because it's very digital, and I can zoom in to this map without losing a lot of resolution on the map. The other map is a map that I made. It is of the region where the players are. So Greyhawk is the world that we're in. That's Dimension 1. And the Lort Mill Mountains and the Cron Hills are the region where they're at, Dimension 2. And they have pretty much been in just about every one of the towns. Like they've been to Rastor, Osnabrück, Hagthar, Tolvar, and Krogdog. Krogdog, I put that in there. I made that one up. They've been in the Ironwood. All the numbered areas on that map, all of those numbered areas are encounters that I have done. And I've also taken those encounters and I have matched them all to a random rumor table that maybe the players go to Tolvar and they find out a bunch of rumors. So I go to the rumor table, I roll a random rumor that somebody knows. It's one of these things that's over here that's numbered, and they find out about it. They find maybe a little bit of a general location, and they go to there. My players have been to almost every single one of these numbers on this map. It took them an entire year to go through this. There are a couple of dungeons that are on this map as well too. So they've been through those. They've cleared them out. Right now in Shadow Dark, they're about 5th to 6th level, which is about halfway to full level. Shadow Dark is a 10th level game. But again, this could be used for a D&D 5.0 or a D&D 2024 game. And again, I have events that are happening up here, and those events are happening at certain times. And so when I said IUs, let me I don't think my finger is going to go up all the way here. So all the way to the northwest up there, that's the Stone Barbarians, and they let me see if I can get my cursor over here. Oh yeah, it's all covered up. So the Stone Barbarians are up in the northeast part of the map, and they have already invaded that little portion that's south of those mountains. So that has already happened. The players don't know it yet. They will. And like I said, some of them are watching this video, so they'll know. But this is the world, and this is the region that I'm using. So just to point out, it's right here. If we zoom in, this is the events that are happening, that have already happened. The Stone Barbarians came out and they invaded that area right there. So my players don't know that has happened yet, but very soon they will. And my players are right here in this region. This is the Cron Hills region. The Temple of Elemental Evil is right there. The Village of Hamlet is here. And then these hexes right here are the region. I'm going to zoom in on this here in just a second. But this is the region they're at, and that is the region way up there where things have happened. So an IUs is way to the north, right over here by this lake, right up there. And so there are things that are going to be happening where my players are not. Now they're getting ready to leave, and they're taking a trek to the city of Greyhawk. They've just kind of figured out how they're going to get there. They've discussed that. And so time marches on. I've got a calendar. And this is one of the reasons why I like this map. And I can use this map because I can home in on it very easily, and it doesn't really lose a lot of its, it doesn't pixelate, doesn't get blurry, so I can see these areas. So you can see over here, you can see the Cron Hills. There's the Village of Hamlet, the Temple of Elemental Evil, and if we go over this way, you can see Tolvar. Over here, up here, there's the map that I made of the region. So you can see all those towns on there: Rastar, Hagthar, Osnabrück, Tolvar. They're all on the map. And I made it into 6-mile hexes so that my players can traverse through there. And again, I've used that calendar to keep time to where the players are and what events are happening around the world. So in summary, I think it's really important to use that calendar to understand time in your world and to understand the 4 dimensions of your world. The world, the region where your players are, the exact location where your players are, and the time. And to understand that while your players are in a specific place, time keeps moving. And in the other 2 dimensions, in the region and the world, things are going to be happening whether the players are there or not. And the players may find out about them a week later, a day later, a month later, 6 months later, and the players may want to do something about that, and you, as the game master, need to be ready to adjudicate that. So, all right, that is the video that I have for everybody today. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I will catch everybody later.